Hey guys, here's going to be a very quick member stream, right? So obviously a couple of questions. I can see Bitcoin is, pumping, and I just want to, settle some nerves, just kind of give you a brief, rundown in terms of where we are, and obviously some of the questions in terms of the point of control slash liquidity, right? So if you haven't watched some of the last videos with the mechanical trading, what I wanted to do is, go back and watch them anyway. But look, overall, if we take from this high, right, you have to understand what's going on, right? Now, this pump from there to there, right, this well, dump rather than a pump, this pump down, right, was caused by this one green candle there, right? So, in theory, what happened was that was the last of the buyers before the sellers took over, right? So, it's a powerful move. Now, as you can see, right, if you were to draw a box from the top. Now I tend to do this way, right? I tend to come up to the rectangle, put the magnet on, scroll to the top, scroll to the bottom, drag him out, right? There's my box, there's my zone, right? So at this particular point, what you then expect is when the price drops below, it changes color. When that price drops below, you want to then look at what happens next. Now, if we were expecting, a move up and breaking into new all-time highs, right? What you'd want to see is this candle, this last red candle, being pushed and retested, right? Now, again, look at this, right? This is where a lot of the sucker moves come in because on paper, this should look like a long, right? We're in an uptrend here. We pull back, we spike up, right? We come down, we fail to take the low, right? Which would suggest that we're going to take this weak high, right? And we didn't. So at this particular point, right, rather than trying to get too complicated, rather than trying to make it too difficult on yourself, the way that I look at this is we're in a downtrend until we're in an uptrend. That uptrend is up, down, up, right? You had obviously this higher low. Then we get this double top type of movement. And then we drop down. We create the break of structure. And we basically come in creating a new low. Right? This marries this. Then we come back up, we fail to make a new high, we come back down. So in the grand scheme of things, this is a downtrend, right? Until we break through up, take out this area, creating a new uptrend, right? So we've got down, up, clear as day, right? Nothing complex about that. Then we come down, we push back up a little bit, and then we fall all the way down, something like this, right? So again, very simplistic. We're in a downtrend until that breaks. Right? Now we could argue there as one move, we break up and above, there's the breaker structure, we break above, right? However, we fail to make a new high, right? So at this particular point, we have this range high, or even this range high because we haven't really taken that out yet. We now have another push up, right? So as you can see, what I'm doing is down, up, down, up. We literally come straight down from there. We create a new low. At this particular point, we do exactly the same thing. Right? We break up, we come down. Again, we fail to take the high here, but we also fail to take the low there. Right? So at the moment, we're currently in this massive range. And what we're seeing is in the internal structure, and I say the internal structure because if I get rid of all of these lines, then what we're actually looking at right now is the external structures, right? Clear as day, are here, being this top. There's my external, and this low being external. Sorry, let me put this over here somewhere. This low being the external, right? In terms of the current overall low situation, right? So that's my range. Until we break out of that range, we're still playing internal structures, right? Now we can do all kinds of things. We can look at Elliott wave counts. We can look at Wyckoff schematics. We can look at smart money concepts. We can stick some volume or some VWAPs in you. What I'm interested in doing, right, is a couple of things. I want to see the volume from the top to the bottom, right? That's going to give me a little bit of an insight in terms of where the value is in this area. Right, so just dragging him there. Obviously, the POC, the value area, right, it's all up high. So at this particular point, what we've now done is we've technically broken above the value area there. We can't really say we close there and come back in, right? I don't like this much as a retest. It's a bit too small for any real, any real momentum, which is part of the issue really in terms of this being to the upside, right? Is on a very small time frame, 4 hour and below, which a lot of retail traders are trading on. This is going to look mega bullish, right? And the truth of the matter is, we're actually still, until we get to this point, we're still inside that internal structure. Right? 72 and a half, right? 72.4, I think was the level. Yeah, 72.4, 72.5. It's quite a key area. That's the center of this push. We've come back. We've technically mitigated that, right? We've come back a couple of times, but every time we've come back, we've actually had quite a strong rejection from this area, right? So that's the first clue. You want to check to see now whether we get a rejection from this area, right? Now, obviously, the other option on a bullish, scenario, bullish momentum, is we break up and above, we get a bit tired, and then we come back into the range, which ultimately will bring us back under the value area, right? So the point then being is, where the liquidity sits, we're going to have liquidity all the way from here, here, and here, right? Which means we could break up to fall back down, right? Or we reject from this level here and we fall back down, right? So at the moment, what we'd like to see is just to keep an eye on what's going on smaller time frame to give any clues or hints. I mean, if you want to take this as a short, right, it's kind of up to you. It's it's your account, it's your trading. Personally, I'm not interested in Bitcoin anymore anyway, or at least not at these prices or at the moment. So I think for me, I know Paul's interested on a short micro strategy if Bitcoin pings 80. I'm not really seeing any real logic for 80. I do see a move, up and above this as a potential, but I got a sneaky feeling, as we've said all the way through, I think some of these moves are going to be quite, dramatic. They're going to be quite scary for a lot of people. So I think if we've had a high at what's the high, 73 something, 73.8. I think 73.8 is the high there. Then I wouldn't be surprised if we see 74, or 74.5, 75 maybe at the push. Bit of hopium. But I kind of feel like there's nothing really driving this at the moment, right? LFs are still short. Grand scheme, we're only tagging liquidity right now, and we've had almost the impulse move. So I kind of don't see an impulse followed by an impulse followed by another impulse. I'm just not seeing any reason for any more other than retail wanting this to be 100k by Christmas. So yeah, look, I think for me that's how I'm currently seeing this. Right, I think in terms of all POC, all the liquidity, all the value areas, what you then have to come back and look at is what drove these moves, right? So the strongest candle on the actual chart at the moment is this one, because that has actually broken all of these structures to the downside, right? We had obviously a couple in here, which currently we are sweeping, right? So this is definitely a sweep of these equal highs here. You have this one next, right? Whether or not that holds is obviously the key. But for me, I'm seeing, a price in here, a sweep there, and therefore I think the best thing for Bitcoin in terms of a move up is probably a rejection at this level rather than a spike above this level. I think a spike above this level will cause a deeper drop. I think a rejection from this level would possibly bring us back down, middle of the range, lower 25% of the range potentially. But it'll give another stab kind of back at the highs at least. I think overall it's just about chasing the money, chasing the liquidity, and understanding where that liquidity is sitting. So just to finish with, the last thing here, right, is I've done obviously from the high down to the low. I'm gonna do the low up to the current situation, and if we see if there's any volume spikes on there, and anything of interest. So again, we've kind of broken through it. We did come back and retest. So I think the driving candle for me is probably this one, right? That one there is actually broken. Let me put this rectangle on. We got this one here. This was the last sell before you buy move in there. And therefore, for me, I kind of feel that this is quite a big one to come back and play with before we actually break, any major highs. And therefore, if we come up any higher, we're going to have quite a sharp drop. And whether or not that will hold at that point, I don't know. But I think in an ideal world, we reject from here, come back from there, back down to the screen. And then, like I said, we have another stab then kind of at the top. All right. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you on the next stream. Cheers all.